Hi, Jen. How can I help you?
Hi, Sarah. Um, so I some things that I've been noticing. I've been having some anxiety around money. Um,
Mhm.
Most of the time, it is I, I I feel like I try to be in a place of um, where I'm just kind of trusting that things will kind of come in and that I am in sort of a transition where I am allowing certain things to fall away don't that I don't really enjoy doing, or that I've been using to kind of sustain my income, but are very taxing on me energetically. And because I'm trying to move into a place where I am uh, letting the things that I don't enjoy or that are taxing to me fall away. I'm kind of in this, I feel like this middle period where
Mhm.
I'm letting those things fall away so that I can allow or try to bring in other sources of income that really feed my soul and make me, you know, things that I really enjoy doing.
Can I
Um,
ask you in what way? How would you like to create income?
um, I would like to, I honestly wouldn't mind doing some of the same things that I was already doing,
Mhm.
working one-on-one, helping people, sometimes clearing their spaces, decluttering, organizing, that type of thing. Um, but I want to do it from a different standpoint.
Mhm.
Where I was before, I was coming in from a role of a personal assistant who got asked to do these other things. And so I wasn't being paid very much. And I was doing things that were more, I think, that put me at a lower level as far as uh, like when I would work with people, I wasn't in a place where I was capable of holding them accountable for things that they said they would do and they didn't do.
Mhm.
It was more of like okay, I'm just going to do these
So,
things that.
can I just make an observation with this? It
Mhm.
sounds like you want to make your create your abundance just by being yourself and being more of who you are and what you want to do intentionally with other people.
Yes. Yeah, I felt like I was giving my power away a lot and I wasn't being utilized or valued fully. Um, and
Did
then
you express this concern at that last job? Is that something that you felt safe enough to share and talk about?
um, I have I have just a couple of different things that I've done. One person that I work with, I essentially I raised my rate and I told them that I wouldn't do what I was continuing to do for less than that amount.
Mhm.
And that person has actually continued to pay me, but at a higher rate. So,
Mhm.
and then the other person that I was working with I expressed that I felt like um, that I was going to potentially build it into a business and that I would like to approach it from a different angle, where there would be accountability and things like that. And since then, that person has not hired me for anything. So I have, and she was, my highest paying client. And then, so I still do smaller things on the side And I'm picking up, yoga classes, and I'm saying yes to different things that bring in smaller amounts of money. Um, but the, seeing that I keep trying to tell myself that it's going to be okay, that things will flow in. And especially right now, it's Christmas time. I go to spend money and I am just watching that kind of pile, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But then I feel like when I do that, like I'm in la la land.
You're in a level of kind of denial, like not really
Right. Like,
of what's happening. So tell me what your deepest fear is right now. I want you to kind of tap into what you're feeling right now,
mm-hmm.
and see if you can share that. And what's the worst? What's the fear that's coming up for you?
I would say, I don't know if it would be admitting that I'm a failure, or if it would be, or that I have failed, um, or if it would be like having to, file for bankruptcy or something like that. Honestly, I mean, that just doesn't seem like something that would be a fun process to go through. But I feel like, almost like I'm trying to be positive and almost like I left my job a year ago, and I'm trying to, or a year and a half, and I'm, trying to make it on my own and be my own boss and have the freedom. And I'm still kind of trudging along, like things are okay, except if we're in a place that is right now with the way that things are going for me. And if they continue to be this way, then I will have failed at not being able to create my own freedom.
Okay, so let's stop here. Is that true? Firstly,
I feel like if I have to go find another job that I don't like, the answer will be yes.
mm-hmm. Okay, so let's also now go back to one of the earlier questions that I asked you. If you could, let's just kind of do a wipe
mm-hmm.
and start with a clean slate. If you could create anything that you wanted to create from Jen's
mm-hmm.
authentic work, her ideal work, what would that be? And this is just, you don't have to think about anything else. Just what is it that you want to do as a soul?
I want to help people create space in their life. I like to help people simplify their life to, again, to create space for intention and what matters most.
Okay. Can we do this in a meditation together to visualize this and bring this intention through?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So feel free to just let yourself drop into your center. And we're just going to create more space with this vision, this inner vision, because I'm hearing multiple layers of what you'd like to create. Just let yourself become as relaxed as possible in your core, in your hips, in your lower body. And just allow yourself to imagine that grounding root that goes into the earth and that support from the earth that you can feel just by letting go in your body. And then dropping your attention into your heart center, into your core, into the lower belly, letting everything settle and sink in. And getting in touch with your spirit, and what does your spirit really want to do? And this is a time of letting anything and everything come up, and let yourself sense the energy of what your spirit really wants. Is there anything coming through for you, Jen?
The only thing that came through was holding space.
Mm-hmm. And what would be a fun way, a joyful way to offer that?
I feel like I do that just in the classes that I offer already
Mm-hmm.
for yoga and meditation, just holding space for others.
Is there a way that you would shift that at all? If you could?
Shift the way that I hold space.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you would want to, so that feels like it's coming more from you and what you'd like to be doing?
I love holding space. I just haven't found it to be very lucrative.
Mm. What's a way that you could hold space that would be reciprocal, that would feel like a fair exchange?
I'm not sure what you mean.
If you could offer space in a way that you could also create abundance for yourself and your work, what would that look like?
Um, I possibly recorded sessions, um, course creation, like for online.
Mm-hmm. How does that feel for you?
Um, it feels like, I'm not sure, but like barbed wire or like a thorny road, maybe.
Okay, that's interesting. So maybe Let's explore something that feels smooth for you and opening for you. If you could create and receive abundance from your work, what could you envision for yourself? What would be the highest expression of Jen's work? Where you also feel supported and you feel prosperous and you're thriving.
Um, I see myself outdoors. Um, um, but I can't seem to create a clear picture of what it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if it's because the job that I walked away from or decided to leave was me teaching outdoors. Um, and so, like, I loved what I did, but I felt like it was time to move on. And I don't know, I have a hard time creating a clear vision of what that would look like for me.
Okay. So that's okay. It's good that you're honest about that. And when you're ready, you can start to open your eyes and see if you can just keep that connection to your core, to your body. What's
You know,
coming?
I think that, you know, that, um, I think that, you know, I've been asking myself a lot, like, if this idea that I have of creating this other business, of continuing to kind of do what I was doing before, or what I was like pushed into before, if I would really enjoy it, if I were to become successful, you know, um, or if I'm just, or if I'm just doing it because I think that that would be a way to move into making more money, you know, and and I keep trying to let it kind of fall away, and then, you know, it a few days later or something, it'll kind of pop back up, and but you know, I keep continuously asking myself, like, is this something that, and you know, is this something that I could see myself being happy doing? Um, and I've come up with both answers,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And what's needed right now for you? What is a priority for you right now?
For me, as far as life or work or
Well, all of it, because it sounds to me, from what I hear from you, is that you do need the money right now. You need
I
the
do.
income.
Yeah.
That's a basic necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And right now, after doing this exercise, there isn't yet, it hasn't come yet, a clarity of vision
Right.
of what it is that you're going to offer, what you want to offer, how you're going to offer it, what you would charge for it. Um, that is still in a formation stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, because perhaps there needs to be more healing and revelation and experience right now. And that isn't something that is genuinely ready to formulate yet.
Yeah.
So from what I'm hearing, it sounds like you need money because you have family, you have Christmas. And it also sounds, from what I'm hearing, let me know if this is resonating, that the work that you do is somewhat similar to what you want to be doing. And you do get yeses and nos with that. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about playing with bringing more of Jen into that work? Showing up inside that work, but perhaps in a little bit of a different way, or with some new energy, or the angle that you really want to be working in, and giving yourself permission to, in a sense, right, have that freedom and flow within these older jobs that you've been working on, and allowing yourself to create from within that space instead of going over here and trying to recreate something new. So
Mm-hmm.
you already have a basis of income working within that, and then trusting that as you build a ground and foundation for that, you're also building a foundation for what's new to come.
Um, I think that the ground and the foundation, I maybe have already shaken it up too much for it to be sustainable.
Okay.
So, so it's like I'm in a place where I'm like, I need, and I don't like to be in a place of desperation, but something has to change,
Mm-hmm.
in
That's
order
okay.
for,
That's your true place. So that's what you're at right now. So you're open to, something needs to change and I need to make money.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
So if you're in that place right now, what would be just one good next step for you? And right now we're going to look at the whole picture, the reality of your situation. And you're okay. Just remember, right now we're looking at this together. You're okay. You're safe. You've got a home. You have a family.
Yeah. Um, I part of me feels like I need to look for a job, but I don't want to. I don't want to. I every time I think about that, of course, the almost like admitting to failing comes up, and then also which is, I've already. It's not fun to think about, but it's not. That's pride.
Mhm.
It's not the end of the world, and it really isn't failure. But then I also think about, the reasons that I left my job and working for people that don't respect your time and that, I think about like not being paid what I feel like my time would be worth, or,
Mhm.
I have a lot of things that I kind of, not that I
Have
swore to,
resistance. You have resistance to getting a job
I do.
right now. Let me ask you, what do you feel your next highest choice is? Let's pedal back a little bit. What's your intention? What's your intention for this time?
My intention for the last year and a half has been freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with my freedom of time, I'm and freedom of I'm having to sacrifice financial freedom for time freedom right now. And
And you
so
want financial freedom too.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is a time right now where you're in a sense unrooted because
Mm-hmm.
you don't have something that you're onto yet. But it's also a time of possibility and potential.
And yeah, and I tap into that and I feel it and I'm excited by it. And then I check my bank account.
Yeah.
You know.
Because it's more about, what are you creating within yourself? What are you really creating? Because
Right.
there's a difference between kind of hoping and praying that something's going to, in a sense, manifest, magically because I'm open, but also doing the actual kind of rolling up the sleeves, getting down on your hands and knees, the real work that it takes to build a foundation to
Yeah.
create true success and financial freedom. So what is showing up is that, what is this groundwork, the
Mm-hmm.
connection to reality, your willingness to really get, in a sense, down and dirty, along with having this freedom and learning how to integrate these aspects
Yeah.
versus staying stuck in no man's land
Yep.
of I got a little money over here, I'm barely, keeping it together, but I'm trying to keep my energy open,
Right.
which is maybe not going to like help you create the next thing. So this is moving the energy inside,
Mm-hmm.
becoming really clear on your intention and what's really needed right now. What's your next? We're not making your whole game plan right now. Right now, it's not about, making your business and because the energy isn't ready for that yet, honestly. Is that right?
I feel like I am still waiting for the pieces to
Mm-hmm.
to come. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
And I think there is a difference because a lot of people struggle in this space, which is the leap from old world to the new world and marrying both the worlds together. So
Yeah.
it's the leap from that physical, the grounded, structured type world where a lot of people don't want to be doing that kind of work anymore that's not aligned authentically to
Mm-hmm.
their soul
Yeah.
and creating work from themselves. But how do you go about doing that? Because it's a whole new territory.
Yeah.
And, what is it really going to require of Jen? And at what level are you willing to sacrifice? At what level can you subsist that way? So there needs to be a real, in a sense, game plan, but that plan, you can't just make it up in your head, but it needs to have a ground
Right.
because it hasn't formulated that vision, that clarity hasn't quite formulated. You like to hold space for people, and that feels like a very true worth of your time and your energy and what you're here for.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you bring these components together? And if you are looking for a job, that it doesn't necessarily mean defeat. Perhaps that means you're accepting responsibility.
Yeah.
Perhaps it means you're developing more ground to prepare for the next step. Perhaps it means, creating a level of prosperity or energy, money that you need for your family to sustain them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at a headway
Yeah.
right now.
Just just that alone kind of, giving me permission to, I don't know, to not feel like I have to struggle my way through this, because see, the problem isn't whether or not I think I could go find a job. It's, I'm very capable and I'm well-rounded. So it's not like I couldn't actually do that if I needed to. It's, I guess, just giving myself permission to do both at the same time, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm. And it's also getting all your energy behind one thing at this time, because right now, as we're talking about the different things, it's like you're kind of half a little bit there, not quite over here. You don't want to do this. So it's also finding that footing where you can just, and again, it's not set in stone. If you get a job, it's not going to be for the rest of your life. Or, right now we're just finding a stepping stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's the necessity, because necessity
Right.
will create opportunity, because you need to put food on the table, you've got a family. And so, in this session, you're letting me know what your urgency is for your basic needs,
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to balance those basic needs with your spiritual needs.
Yeah.
And your spiritual work. And just because you have a certain job doesn't exclude you from doing other work, and from your own sense of spirituality. And maybe sometimes that is needed, that grounding is needed to build up the next part.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're really ready, you will just launch, you will go, because all your energy, all your power, all of you will be behind that to make that happen. But you got to pull that energy, that Shakti. You got to find that, and that takes time sometimes to build that.
Yeah. And I'm not always as patient with myself as I guess I should be either, because I have felt like I have made leaps and bounds recently. Like I felt like I'm finally in a place where I'm like ready to like show up, and so the way that I present myself, the way that I come forward, and the way that I speak to people, like I'm practicing that, really showing up for myself, and then I'm like, okay, then where's everything? Where's everything else,
Yes,
So,
and that's the thing. It's like it all comes together because you're working through the layers right now. And you should absolutely celebrate all of the accolades. You have come a long way. You've done leaps and bounds. You have. And I think you need to honor that and celebrate that for yourself. It's not a defeat. It's
mm-hmm.
not a waste of time. This is energy well spent, because it's laying the foundation for what you want to do. You're laying the foundation, the real foundation, right? And again, like when we went into the meditation, you still, if you don't have something to say to what you're going to offer, then people can't make that up for you. It can't just come in for you magically, right? We can't just wait for the one person to show up to make everything happen for us.
Right.
So that is a space to be born from within. So right now, that question is balancing the need for your, what you want to create,
Mm-hmm.
and choosing that next step that you can get behind, just for now. It's not set in stone forever, but just for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is there any fear that you feel like you're going to make a mistake or you're going to get stuck? Because there's still some fear and hesitancy, I sense.
I think that, the reason that I quit my last job was it wasn't because I didn't love it. I had very many aspects of it that I just absolutely loved, and I felt like I was following my passion moving into that job. I felt like I was able to follow a couple of different passions within that job, and I was very grateful. But then when the time came for me to change things and move things around, not just for myself or my son and my husband, I knew that there were going to be sacrifices that I was going to make. in that process. And I've lost my train of thought on exactly where I was going with this, but I feel like, no, I feel like the journey has always been worth it. You know, I don't, oh, what I was going to say is I did get into a place where I committed so much of my time to it that the freedom that I began to seek was freedom of time for my family, because oftentimes they were the ones that were losing my attention because I was at work. And it wasn't, you know, wasn't always because I had to be. It was because I was, you know, I was kind of a mix of passion and being caught up in it and responsibility, you know. So maybe there's a fear of that. You know, being so caught up in something that,
Of losing yourself in a sense in your work, or not be able to balance your time and attention.
yeah, maybe that's it. Because that's what I think about now. Now I'm in a place where if I do go and get a job somewhere, that means that I probably have to have a flexible schedule and lose my nights with my son, and you know, different things like that are things
There would
that
be
come up.
sacrifices that you'd have to make,
Right.
and really hard adjustments
Yeah.
that would need to be there. But if you could create a job, let's just say you were looking for a job, what kind of parameters would you want? What's something you really need from a job?
Really, um, you know, coming from a place of necessity, my needs are not that much, other than just to not be micromanaged. You know, there's a lot I can deal with, except I don't.
So how about a job with freedom,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
flexibility? It helps to have those positive intentions for what you are looking for, because then that can help create a guide and make you feel more empowered through the process.
Very true.
Because it's almost, you know, the sense I get is it's sort of like you're feeling at the mercy of whatever's going to happen, versus, look, I can get a job. You express so much confidence in how you can get a job. You said, I'm capable, I can do it. Well, if you are capable, you can set your standards. You could say, I want a job that's flexible, it pays this much, I get to express my gifts.
Mm-hmm.
You did just go through a certification training.
I did, yeah.
So, you know, what can you do that would allow you to engage in some of the work that you love,
Mm-hmm.
that would get you excited, where it doesn't feel like such a heavy sacrifice, such a heavy kind of sense of burden or responsibility, but something that could feel lighter for you, and allowing yourself to go into that space.
Yeah. I think that that's in a different realm for me, as far as creating a job versus getting a job. You know what I mean? Like,
Mindset. It's a different
right,
mindset.
right. Yeah, yeah. But you're absolutely right. And I'm not entirely sure if I just haven't been open to that, or really willing to feel confident enough to attract that, or to be willing to go worth it, or go look for it, or, you know.
Yes. I'm just going to close my window because they started lawn care.
Okay.
It's like the moment it stops raining, they all come out with their cutters. How are you feeling now, Jen?
Um, I'm feeling a little lighter, like in the back, like in the base of my head and like the back of my neck. It's feeling a little bit more kind of free.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in my body, I feel definitely um, like I can move a little bit. You know, like I have
You have more
power.
freedom to,
Mm-hmm.
does it feel limited?
No, does it feel as no, I feel it does. It feels more open. Like I can, like I said, like I can move, like I
Mm-hmm.
have space to breathe a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And what would you take away from this time together? How would you apply what we talked about?
hmm. I am definitely grateful for um, the perspective, you know, um, taking steps to I not feeling as limited, I guess, like I can't move or can't take steps, just the perspective that you provided to be able to move in any direction that I need to and not feel bad about it or not feel like it's wrong or, have a fear of that. That's very freeing. Yeah. Um, I think that was the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. And you like to write, right?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Is this something that you'd be willing to write about more? If you could take a next step, what would that next step be?
Mm, yeah.
And again, I'll ask one more time and just see what comes to you. If you could take a next step, just any next step, there's no consequence, there's no pressure or expectation. What would that step be for you?
I am feeling like maybe just um, refine my idea of what I want and then allow myself permission to look for it. You know, usually I'm in this place where I feel like I have to allow things to come for me, and so I'm like not always, or if I go to look for something or see what's out there, like I feel like I'm in a sense like betraying, or just I think that would be it. It's just refine.
That's so interesting. It is interesting because I sense that something really deep is coming up for you in this, that it's much more than just choosing something. There's a deeper core belief that's being challenged in creating this new action and deciding something for yourself to say, I want to create this. and taking that empowered stance,
Yeah.
and that somehow is not spiritual.
Right. Right.
Is that true?
I think for me, it's more of like a promise that I made to myself that like I wouldn't be stuck working for somebody that, or like, like not that maybe it might actually be exactly what you just said. Like it's not spiritual to go back to the real world and get a job.
I can't think of anything more spiritual than to go back to the real world. But I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. And
Yeah.
it doesn't define you. It does not mean that you're defeated. And right now there's a distinction between I need and perhaps I want.
Yeah.
Because you know that you want to be doing work and be creating abundance from work that's spiritually connected.
Yeah.
And you can still take that spiritual connection, bring it into a real job in the real world. It's possible.
Yeah.
It might not be in the same form, shape, or idea,
Yeah.
but it's still going to serve some of your basic needs. So, um,
Yeah.
so it's really what we're also doing, Jen, is like bringing all of the energy, even the chakras, you know, your basic need for security,
Yeah.
um, home, shelter, food, Christmas gifts, and then your basic need for that sense of belonging and purpose,
Mm-hmm.
which is in your core, the basic need at your heart center. So it's almost like when we're talking, these two needs are disconnected. You've got your spiritual work, your spiritual needs, they're over here in a different realm, and you're trying to call it in by being receptive and using that feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this masculine energy that's heavier, maybe more dense. And it's like, it's kind of split right now.
Yes. Yeah.
And right, and what's happening is this beautiful, we're integrating it, and we're talking about how can we integrate this without getting stuck here and over here,
Mm-hmm.
because really it needs to come together, and this energy in between is what's feeling disconnected,
Yeah.
because you're not able to put all your energy behind one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That's actually something that I have discussed or that I have felt like internally with meditation is I have even described that I feel like I have a line that goes through my body and one side they're you know they're not together.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is that is definitely something that I can even feel, you know,
You
it's
can
crazy.
viscerally feel it.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's showing up that even when we talk about it, um, that and there's nothing wrong with that, Jen. A lot of people now are wanting to discover this integration and to really
Mm-hmm.
pull it together. Now, this experience of this, you know, taking this and this is a healing process.
Yeah.
So you are working through layers like you have been, and
Mm-hmm.
you're continuing to work through those layers. Sometimes those steps that we need to take are more baby steps. You know, we need more grounding, more training. We still need to have a foot in the real world with that, so that we can bring in the basic income, meet those basic needs,
Yeah.
have that as a foundation. When you really got that down, you know, learning how to bring this in with it.
Mm-hmm.
But to stay passive and kind of hope and wish for something to just magically, you know what I mean, formulate.
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, trust me, I know that. I I've experienced that too, where you think I'm open, I'm available, I'm here
Yeah.
to serve, but then the birds are chirping, the crickets are chirping, right? There's nothing happening, because we also need this. We
Yeah.
need the yang, the masculine, and we need the feminine, but bringing it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm.
So one thing I do recognize too, Jen, is that you're creative.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, what would that look like creatively if you could start to pull that together and
Mm.
to imagine and have some daringness with just imagining and playing.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to go into that play space? Because right now, when we talk about it, it has like a gravitas to it, right? It's kind of heavy, it feels serious. You know, like I got to figure this out, I got to knock it down, you know, like I'm under the gun, you know. But let's open it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let it be free flow, like totally free flow for you.
Yeah.
That's the space you need, Jen. That's the space you thrive in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's go back to the one question again. What would be what would be your next, no, you did start answering it. I'm going to give you that. What would be your next highest step?
Sorry.
Next step. Just any step. Yeah. And you did say you were going to refine it, you know, give yourself permission, but let's bring it all the way through. Let's ground it.
Um, my next step.
And it could be a non-step. It could be, you know, more rest, more practice. I mean, it could be anything. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be something, you're not doing this for me or to try to make something in the space.
Right. Yeah.
So it's something that feels connected for what you truly need and what would be of service.
I have coming up expressing my needs.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe to.
Can you tell me a need that you have right now?
A need that I have right now is a need that I have is to just have more money coming into the bank.
Okay.
Period.
Mm-hmm. Now that sounded clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How does it feel just to say that's what I need?
It feels good. And, you know, like to be able to express it, yes, but it gets feel like I have almost like it's weird because I feel like, okay, now I have a direction, but I don't, maybe I just don't have things that are stopping me from being like, okay, this is what I need, you know, this is, and it doesn't really matter, you know, what, I guess, the steps that need to follow.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can knock one down right now. What's one step you can do to serve that need?
I can look at what's available and be open to, you know, just searching, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And you said you have a few parameters, which is freedom.
Yeah.
That's something that you were looking for. So kind of set your intention, maybe write it down, because that's one of the best ways to start realizing what you want to create.
Yeah.
Is have a few parameters and an intention.
Yeah.
So right now your intention is true freedom, right? Because true freedom includes financial freedom.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. How is this feeling? Is it bringing up some energy?
Feels like it's releasing still.
Oh, wow.
Like
Yeah.
well, I feel like I'm releasing from up here, but maybe coming more like into my belly. So possibly coming up, you know, and kind of dropping down.
Mm-hmm.
So a little more balanced, not like I'm incapable, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, you know.
And it's feeling and sounding a lot more grounded. It's
Mhm.
a lot more dropped in, especially into the root. Do you
Mhm.
feel that as well?
Yeah.
It's really what we're looking at too, is dealing with the reality, but bringing in, Jen, your spirituality, your spiritual practice, but at the same time looking at the reality of what you need and what you need to create,
Yeah.
and being willing to express that and knowing that it's not going against spirituality. Everything is spiritual. You'll always be spiritual.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
it's really, I think, embracing all of it. Mhm.
Yeah.
And moving out of, the feeling of paralysis or the feeling of ambiguity,
Mhm.
afraid to take a wrong step or afraid to fail or afraid, but just a willingness to explore for yourself, for the well-being of your family.
Yeah.
How does that sound, to be doing that and taking that next step?
It feels it it feels nice and
Mm-hmm.
free, and I feel capable, and
Mm-hmm.
like almost like it's easy.
Mm-hmm. And who knows, maybe you could do something that you really want to do and it's in a job. You never know. Like, sometimes we go in with our limited ideas or perceptions of what that means. And
Yeah.
we close ourselves off to the possibility that I could find something that really lights me up,
Yeah.
that is exactly in alignment to what I want to be doing. And it's your first way of, sharing and spreading the light that you have to offer. And you have all this other training in the background that's going to support you in that.
Yeah. 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 That feels good. And it's weird because I do feel more grounded. Like I guess it's not weird. That's exactly the
Well,
perfect.
I helped you a little bit of clearing in the middle.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, as you know, but sometimes we have some other energies that are present, and it's just kind of clouding our space.
Yeah.
But it's you that's going to keep your inner space clear, by allowing yourself to move through some of these deeper layers and ideas about, what's spiritual or what's not spiritual,
Right.
um, and what's really going to serve you right now at the same time.
Yeah. It's a beautiful process, isn't it? It's like you had this idea that simple idea that you didn't know you had that was holding you back.
Oh yeah, it's not so simple. Usually it's in there pretty good, and it's so invisible and it's so in the dark that we
Yeah,
can't see it. We don't even know
I
that's
know, and
don't
it's
even know.
right. I feel like you're blind to it. Like I don't know the way forward, but
Right, you just know that you're hitting a wall over and over and over again. That's what you do now.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So Jen, I'd love to follow up with you next week about it too,
Okay,
so that you have accountability
okay,
and you can
yeah,
tell me what steps you've taken,
okay.
to move forward. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
And set it up. I would love for you to come on live to our thing if you want to. It's up to you, but
Okay. You're talking about for the
you don't have to do the session, but just saying hello and checking back in. I think that would be neat.
okay.
When
I
is that? That's like 9 a.m. EST next Thursday.
Thursday I teach, but I can probably do the other days. I think that Tuesday and Thursday I have to teach. So um,
Yeah, okay. It is on Thursday.
okay,
Darn. But anyways, let's catch up regardless. I mean, it doesn't matter if you can come on live. I mean, we can just reconnect and see, where you're at and the steps that you started to take. But
okay,
this is a great one. It really is, because I've gone through it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do this for years. You can do this. I mean, literally, and keep, kind of waiting, hoping, manifesting, praying, and then it doesn't come together until the full, Shakti, the energy is built like Shakti and Shiva
Mm-hmm.
together, and yin and yang. It really does need to come together, and then that's like the final healing step. But that can take time, and you don't have to push that.
Yeah. I've always had this more like, pragmatic side that's like, yes, this is amazing, but let's get real, like we can't always. And so I've been really good at like allowing myself some time and trying to be patient and working to that. But it is nice to hear, someone say that's not always like the way that, things have to happen and you can allow this. And so
It's really pulling from every resource. And I
yeah,
think what happens too with a lot of people, especially women that have come from corporate mainstream, is that we have that fear of going back and losing ourselves in that, because we consciously stepped away from that
yeah,
for a reason. And then we've done all this practice, and then we don't want to, in a sense, lose all of this to go back to
right,
there. But you have to trust that all of this is coming with you. And you're not coming back as the same person.
yeah, that's
um
yeah,
mhm. And it doesn't mean that you're not spiritual, because you're bringing in business and you're bringing in money and you're bringing in work and that abundance. But it's really learning how to tie it all together.
yeah,
But and releasing that fear that somehow you're stepping away from spirituality. But I
mm-hmm.
think now you have a level that what you need,
Yeah,
stay within yourself.
yeah,
So it is a lot of diligence and vigilance and conscious awareness,
mm-hmm.
but you can trust yourself
Yeah,
in that. And everybody's going to have different needs. Everybody's going to have different levels that they can sacrifice. So I know that if I'm single, I can sacrifice myself. That to me, my bank account going to zero is not as scary as if I've got two little people dependent on me.
right,
Then I know I'm going to be making different choices based on that.
yeah,
So yeah, we got to get really tuned in to
mm-hmm.
what we really need.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bringing it all together.
yeah,
So, do you
yeah.
still feel some emotion there? That's there.
No, I'm just kind of feeling like, okay, you know what you got to do, yeah.
Oh, wonderful, Jen. You're a beautiful spirit. You could
Oh,
do anything.
thank you.
Hmm. Really, I feel like you're genuine light and spirit and energy. And if you really want to do it that way, you can absolutely do it. You have what it takes. And
Thank you.
you've got the get up and go, you've got the giddy up. And sometimes it's taking that, what we learned from that, and bringing it into that world, right?
Yeah,
Like learning how to just soup it together, swirl it together.
yeah. How long does your webinar go next week? Does it go?
It goes like, I think it'll go like 9. So it's EST, which would be 11 o'clock your time. So it'd be like 11 to 11:40, around that.
Oh, okay. I was going to say if it lasted an hour, then I would be able to hop on at the last. My class goes from 10:45 to 11:45. So that's okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, if you are able to hop on, just come on. Just,
Okay.
Impromptu. And then send Chella a private message and just say, it's Jen, I'm here.
Okay.
And we'll go with the flow and improv. How does that sound?
Right.
Yeah, no, that would be fun. And just say, well, Jen's here. What I'll do is I'll edit this one
Mm-hmm.
and then just like take little parts. I'll make it shorter, a lot shorter.
Okay.
And then for you to come on and say, yeah, sir, I've done these things. And, it would be really great exposure and right? For people to see that you've made that movement forward. And
Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. If I can make it, that would be great. Yeah.
And also, Jen, you know, you're not alone in this. So, you know, this is like, no, this is happening to a lot of people right now. So it's,
Yeah. No, I can't imagine how it's not. You know, there's so
yeah,
many people. Yeah, tapping in and then being like, okay, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, wait, you know. So it's, you know, yeah, I do feel much lighter though, and like, okay, got this.
and also write about, you know, how you want to make abundance. How do you want to experience abundance? And
Yeah,
let yourself just be free in writing about it. It can sound as out there as you want to, like let yourself go in any direction, but it's having like a clear focus and intention and energy with how is this abundance going to flow.
yeah,
And even if you are making it up, so what? It's okay. But you're just playing with some of those ideas and bringing them into form.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Is this whole session like really coming together for,
I feel like it is. Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And it's also coinciding, you know, I've done recently some journaling on abundance and what my future life would look like and what, you know, it's just like I feel like I've been in that space and then like being like, oh, but here I am, here I am, here I am. And now I feel like it's kind of opening up, you know, like, okay.
Like you don't have the energy access to it yet,
Right.
but you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes those blocks, you know, they really do cover, right? Those sheets. So we're just kind of like breaking through some of that so that, you know, I can reach like that and, you know, it's right there. It's right in front of you. You can reach for your thing.
Yeah.
But we just it's just something, right? And it's those unconscious blocks, the subconscious blocks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Blessings. I'm going to end with just this blessing and intention for abundance and prosperity
Mhm.
for you, Jen.
Thank you.
And just letting yourself take a moment to, receive that. What is that? What is true abundance and true freedom and true prosperity? And it is so much more than the financial security. It's a state of being, it's a state of energy and vibration. It's your natural vibration.